How's it going, Starseekers? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Luke, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at HOA, a beautiful puzzle platformer with Studio Ghibli inspired visuals and audio, which sees you return into a homeland filled with wonderfully whimsical creatures. Now, if you've been looking for a game to spend a quiet night in with, then HOA definitely fits the bill. So make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to be notified of future content, and let's get right into it. So the story with this one then is one of returning home, reuniting with old friends, and recounting past events. You play as HOA, a minuscule furry-like creature who, after arriving on the shores of a homeland, sets off on a journey to revisit the people and locations of her childhood. Along the way, you learn about the events which led up to her leaving her parents and friends behind, and what happened to the world after she was gone. Now, to avoid spoilers, I'm not going to be going into any more depth than this, but what I will say is that there's nothing really new in terms of the narrative or plotline. While its undertones have a deeper meaning about taking care of the environment and the story of HOA does tug at the heartstrings a little, it really does very little to build on the lore of this world, and I would have loved to have seen more depth to its storyline to really bring its unique set of characters to life. So when it comes to gameplay then, HOA starts as it means to go on. It teaches you some basic platforming skills before releasing you into the first of its levels, but its level of challenge barely progresses beyond requiring some simple platforming skills and some minor puzzle solving skills. Now, the game's platforming generally sees you utilising the environment and the different creatures you meet to travel around the map. Flowers will spring up from the ground and leaves will sprout from the trees, creating platforms for you to stand on, and the critters that you meet in your travels add their own platforming mechanics as you bounce on the backs of grubs or hitch rides from ladybugs. Puzzle elements are kept simple but enjoyable, involving things like pushing blocks around or working your way through a spider's web, and I'd say that the most challenging aspect of the game is probably working out which order you need to complete rooms in, but a handy in-game map will pretty much spell this out for you. Now, your primary objectives in each of the game's levels are firstly to activate glowing glyphs, which will usually wake a slumbering creature, and secondly to gather and return 5 butterflies to the creature so that it can grant you a new ability allowing you to proceed onward. These abilities include things like a double jump skill, increased strength to allow you to push blocks around, and a kind of ground pound, and your newfound skills are then put to good use in future levels as additional platforming and puzzle mechanics are introduced. Overall, I thought there was a decent amount of variety to the puzzle and platforming elements, and despite them all being rather simple, I did really like how all the different creatures you encountered were incorporated into them. Now, while I enjoyed my time playing HOA, the game is not without issues, and I can see why people could have mixed opinions about this one. To start with, its runtime is rather short, clocking in at around the 2 to 3 hour mark, and some of this time is spent backtracking through levels, so the price point may be a little high for some people. While each level's environments, creatures and the skills you gain do add some variety to gameplay, the objectives remain the same from one area to the next, and given the setting and narrative, it felt to me like there were many missed opportunities with this one. Lastly, there are a few enemies in the game, like these little robots who enjoy chasing you and giving you a good kicking, but again, HOA plays the pacifist card, and so there's actually no combat in this one, which would have offered at least a little change of pace. In all though, HOA aims to offer a very casual, calming and serene gameplay experience free from stress, which it does, and it really just wants you to soak up the world around you and enjoy its relaxing atmosphere. So if you've been watching the gameplay footage, I think it goes without saying that HOA's hand-drawn Ghibli-esque artwork is absolutely stunning. The game's environments and the creatures which fill its world are very reminiscent of movies like Princess Mononoke and Totoro, and being a Miyazaki and Ghibli fan myself, I found just wandering through the levels was a pleasure in itself, though as I said before, I do just wish that the game's characters had more personality, as this would have really fleshed out the whole Ghibli-like experience. When it comes to the audio, I thought the game's sound effects and the ambient background noise of its environments were all very well done, and they worked really well to build on the overall atmosphere of the game, and wearing a decent set of headphones whilst playing really helps with immersion. The real star here though is its musical score, which just like the visuals feels like it's been plucked straight out of a Ghibli movie, with the also familiar combination of gentle piano chords, swelling strings and orchestral highs, all just coming together to complement the visuals perfectly. So I've already mentioned HOA's short playtime and its somewhat repetitive gameplay loop, which some people may not find to their liking, but there are a couple of additional issues that I've yet to mention. Firstly, while I love the visuals, I frequently found difficulty in distinguishing between the background and foreground objects, which made platforming a little confusing at times. On the point of performance, for the most part the game runs well on the Switch, though there were some very noticeable frame rate drops, and for me, character movement appeared to have a strange stuttering effect to it, though this could have been entirely intentional considering its cartoon influences. Finally, at one point while playing I had an audio bug which caused a sound effect to continually loop in the background, and this did ruin the atmosphere a little bit, though it did get fixed when I exited the area. So when all's said and done, while HOA may not push the boundaries with its gameplay, it still offers an incredibly wholesome experience. Its cuteness factor is off the chart, and for a rating I'm going to be giving the game 4 out of 5 stars. If you're looking to really unwind and settle into something relaxing for a couple of hours, then I highly recommend checking out HOA, especially if like me you hold the Studio Ghibli movies dear to your heart. And so that about does it for this review of HOA on the Nintendo Switch. Make sure to hit that like button if it helped you out. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the game and whether you love Studio Ghibli in the description box below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with my latest reviews and content. For now though, I just want to thank you all once again for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves and game on.